Sometimes it's not the illness that misleads people. Sometimes it's the test results. A wrong diagnosis, a wrong report, becoming someone's truth and identity for years. And that's what we're discussing today. Diagnostic errors, especially in blood groups. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HealthWise Show. My name is Uche Namadi, and I remain your host. I will not be doing this alone today. I have with me here my amazing co-hosts, as usual, Dr. Lani Yowe, our medical guru, who will be coming from the medical angle, and Patsy, the lawyer, the bar, who will be bringing in straight talks from the everyday Nigerian. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow SYNLAB Nigeria on YouTube and Spotify. So today or shortly, we're going to be hearing a true story from our guest about how a diagnostic mix-up during his university medicals suddenly became his identity. So settle in, especially if you've ever said, but the hospital said it was correct. Over to our guest now.
It next me bringing a story about the wrong diagnosis I had, and I carried it as a badge that speaks to what my blood group was at the time. Now, a freshman into the university, I was very excited when I got admission into the university. Everything was looking very new. Everything was looking very different. A lot of noise, a lot of friends coming at the same time at a very fast rate that you can't even keep with it. Now there comes that moment where the university start doing the clinical screening that you have to do as a new student in the school. Now here was me already having the ideology that I had an A blood group type. Now staying on the queue, you know those queue moments where you have to be on the queue, you're queuing up for this, you're doing triplets of these documents, you're doing triplets of the other documents and all that. Then you have to wait for a blood draw that will take just 2 minutes. But that blood draw tells you what you have to live with all your life. You know that moment. I was in that queue until it got to my turn. Then the nurse had to take my blood. I waited for my results. Then my results came out A positive. Now, an A versus positive result wasn't a concerning one for me. I'd earlier been informed that my blood group was A negative. I had a conception that something was wrong. I had some terrible malaria episode during as a child. Now, I wasn't concerned about if that result was right or wrong, but then I owned the result, A versus positive. That was my blood group as an undergraduate student. Now, I didn't just move with that result or file that result. I carried that result in my mind. Now, for every single time that someone would always ask me, what is your blood group again? I would say A positive. I'm A positive, happily, and wearing it as a badge of honor. Right now, during my university days, I had a time because to give out my blood for different reasons. A colleague coming or senior colleagues coming or asking for blood sample just for them to do their research and all that, or even blood donations. So remember, the information I now have about myself is that I'm actually A versus positive. And that was also what I saw that there. I'm not me selling what I told people. Whether you're coming for blood donation, whether you're asking me to donate blood, what's your blood type? I'm A versus positive. Now that having left me with a big question afterwards, because I had a lot of time that I actually gave out blood as an undergraduate. Now in my graduate years, I actually spent 5 years in school, and that was the duration my course required me to. Post-graduation, life began to happen. You know that moment when life begins to come at you as an adult, right? And something happened that required me to go for a confirmation of blood type. Now, only for me to discover that I was actually A versus negative. Now, when I was in that lab for confirmation, for whatever reason that brought me there, I wasn't really concerned because I already owned it to myself that I was actually A positive. Now, only for the result to come out A negative. Now, that for me was not shocking. I wasn't even angry. It didn't pull any trigger of anger on me. It was more like an unraveling that it's more like you're pulling a thread out of a sweater. So everything I knew about myself was all crashing down. You know that moment, you've lived a life of a life, 5 years plus ASU strike. I didn't count that. Now, that interestingly, for me, felt not weird, to say the least, but then more like a moment where you were seeing that you've owned a kind of identity as an A resource positive individual in terms of blood type, only for you to discover years after, over half a decade, that you actually A resource negative. And I have had times and time and again where I gave out my blood type, either for donation or for some research and all. Now, what concerning thing for me was those blood that I have given out with the identity that I was actually A positive. Must it have affected some persons? Had it any impact on those I gave it to? Those were concerning questions I had to ask. So my questions will be, at this point, when someone have the wrong blood identity over the years and give out blood and donate blood with that mindset to either a patient or a relative or a friend or a distant relative, what impact could that have on the receiving person? That's my question.
Wow, this is a very interesting story to share. Not scary anyway, but it's interesting. So kudos to our guest. He's a very rare, congratulations to him. He's a very rare blood grouped individual, A negative, but he has been going about with A positive all his life. And he's asking serious questions like, how about those that he has donated blood for, who have used his blood for maybe research or for maybe donating to people to help them? Now, what's the impact of him presenting as A positive, meanwhile he's actually A negative? And me, I'm thinking, even if you donate blood, I don't think it would have any impact because they will still have to do a screening, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it's now maybe the delay in getting the actual blood type that might be an issue. But A negative should be, yeah. So, but Patsy, what do you think about his story overly? Because this is a clear case of, when we've been talking about labs and the kind of results that they issue. So, what's your opinion based on his story?
First of all, I'm happy for him.
And why are you happy for him?
Because he found out eventually. I have, hearing his story, I even have my own questions because in the blood donating, with the many times he donated blood, how didn't they figure out? I'm not even talking about the original testing, the original result for himself. But if you donated blood multiple times, how come it never came up that, oh, sir, you told us you are this, but the blood we got is this? Or don't they test people before they donate blood to know, And I'm kind of also happy that now the knowledge about the resource positive, resource negative has really become popular. I remember being much younger as a child and finding out about resource, and I don't know if it was just me, but almost everybody around me didn't know what it was then, including older people. They didn't know that there was anything like resource. Up until when I was in secondary school, going into the university, it was still just something that people had never heard about. And I know that even when it came to maybe counseling for marriage, then it was more popular it was even popular to get your genotype tested. But that resource thing was people just blindly went, they had never even heard of something like resource. So now that it's there, I think it's more popular now. I'm sure that even if you go to do, I know in SYNLAB we have panels for marriage testing. I'm going to assume that this is part of the things that will be scanned. But sure. I don't know, given that the knowledge is even more popular, I don't know how much people still know about.
Yeah, because a lot of people do it those days and then carry it and not bother to go back and check.
If you
I
do
don't
it
really
once,
understand.
yes, well, like all these
Because
blood
they
things,
believe
you
it
are going
doesn't
to-
change, right?
I actually believe that research has always been, because I mean those days also you hear people's blood group being given as A positive, B positive, O positive, O negative. So the positive and negative part of it is actually research. It's just that at that particular point, I'm not sure there were lots of people who really got to understand, what the impact of resource incompatibility was, the way we have now. And I don't really think it's peculiar to resource incompatibility. I think it's basically almost everything.
Yeah.
Even those days, sickle cell, we were actually limited in what we knew. Malaria, HIV, so many disease conditions like that. But now, with the advent of better testing tools, and then with increasing knowledge about things like this, we're beginning to know the importance and then the import of some of these things. Because I could remember as at that time, when you go do your blood group, they will tell you you're O positive. So it's always been there. It's just that I feel people don't really understand, the significance of the
I
incompatibility.
think you're, in a way, I feel like you might be taking for granted your medical background and your knowledge, because, given that you have a medical background, for years you've rolled in the medical space. So you're more or less used to having people around you who would have ideas about these things. If you step out of that, you might find that the majority of people, in fact, it is up. Even with the fact that I knew about resource, I've known about resource positivity and negativity for years now, but it took a long time for me to even connect it to blood group. Do you understand? So for a while, I knew that there was something called maybe your resource this thing, and but I thought it was now different from your blood group. Do you understand? There's blood group, there's genotype, and then there's this other thing called resource. Honestly, that was how I thought about it. So it was even when I mean very recently, maybe 2-3 years recently, that I knew to associate it with the blood group. And so you might think somebody's brain should know that because they are giving you O positive, O negative, the positive and negative behind it means something.
What I said was, and I think it's always been there, but the issue is we didn't really know the importance of resource incompatibility. It's always been there because there's no way you would actually do a blood group ever since the time we started doing blood groups that they would just say you are O or whatever. So it's either you are O positive, O negative, or whatever it is. But then the significance of that you're positive or negative, the significance of it is what a lot of people did not really know then. And most of the people who knew about it then were people within the core medical space. Let me use that word. Most people were within the core. But now you have a whole lot of, things coming around, a lot of knowledge, everywhere. And a lot of people are beginning to understand, the importance of resource incompatibility and all that. Because those days, people don't really think that it was, very, very important, in the scheme of things. But what I'm saying is it's always been there because it's always been tested for. I mean, there's no way you do your blood group and then you just be just O or A or B. But
I want to even ask you, so what do you think could have happened that would make the lab to miss that resource? Or so now it's a case of false positive reaction for it to be A positive. Meanwhile, he is A negative, right? He said he's A positive. He thought he was A positive until he now repeated and he came out as A. What could have caused? Could it be a case of contamination, cross reactivity, or something? Because I can understand from the bench as a scientist, I can understand when somebody is A positive but presents as A negative because the D is probably weak. The anti-D's reaction is probably weak. So it will need a lot of, an extra processing to ensure that, okay, this is clearly a negative resourcing. So, but this one, the reverse is the case.
The usual thing is, working on the bench, the usual thing is that you will get people calling negative positive. That's the usual thing you usually
Wow.
get. Yeah, people saying negative is positive most of the time, but saying
find it
positive,
suit.
yes, no, saying
You are overqualified.
because
You just
the truth of the matter is, positive means there's agglutination, there's a
Sure.
reaction. Negative means there is no reaction.
Yes.
So for someone who is inexperienced, doing, of course, those days, most of the things we do up till now in most places is the tile grouping. You understand? So it's easier to see a reaction than for you to say that there is no reaction, because usually the reaction is what you would see regularly when you're actually working on the bench. So more often than not, most people working on the bench, over time, they tend to be able to appreciate agglutination or a reaction, as the case may be. So usually the case is when you have no reaction, because I know you have seen that when you have no reaction is when you're actually calling someone who is more experienced that, oh, I'm not actually seeing a reaction here.
Yeah.
Because when you start working on the bench, within a few days or even weeks, you know what the reaction is. So that's why I said, usually you don't miss positive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's negative usually means because there is no reaction and you're not so sure. If you're not very trained or you're not very experienced, you are saying, okay, I'm not sure if it's a reaction or not. Oh, calling a senior person. Oh, come and check. This thing looks as if there is no reaction, but it seems as if there's little reaction. And we see that a lot, on the bench. So this particular case looks very strange to me because, again, and the only explanation behind this basically is it's an analytical error.
Or even transcription error.
Transcription. Yeah, it could be clerical error. I agree with you. It could actually be a clerical error because, most of the laboratory errors are actually clerical. Maybe the person that did it even saw positive and then, just probably
So negative and
and
then put a positive.
Put a positive. Yes, it could be clerical error. But I'm still saying it's a laboratory error, something coming, from the laboratory, from, the people there. And again, for me, just as she mentioned at the beginning, I don't really think it has any impact on donation because
because they will still screen again.
They will still screen again and all that. And it's a blood bank.
But what of research? Because
Okay.
he mentioned research.
For his blood for research. Well, the truth of the matter is, even if you're still going to do a research, you
Still cross-check?
you still check. So
But
it's
my
not
issue-
like
Well,
No,
okay,
okay,
so
if
check
they are
out-
donating, don't they test the people before they donate?
See, one thing about it is it's not
have a
really
point.
about your blood group, so to say. It's about whether you're fit for donation.
Okay,
Like, for
so-
example, if I'm O negative and I need blood, there's a lot of donated units in the blood bank. So if I'm O negative or say I'm O positive and I actually need blood and I actually bring donors, and the donors I'm bringing are either A positive or B positive. Once they are fit to donate, they will collect blood from them. And
Even
then
if they can't use it for you.
they don't have to use the blood you donate for you.
Yes. There is something they call cross-matching.
Yes, you don't have to
So
use the
you must
blood.
cross-match
In fact, we don't even use
the blood
Exactly.
with the specimen from the patient as well before you can now.
So most
give
of the
blood.
times, donating blood is just to replace the unit.
The unit that have been taken out of the blood bank.
So if in an emergency situation somebody needs blood urgently, and you need the blood to save the life, so nobody will be telling you that person needs 3 units of blood, and then go and bring 3 units that have the same blood group or the same whatever with the patient. No. Nobody will tell you that, and most times you don't even give the blood you donate to your patient. It's just to replace
The
what
blood that
you're
was
giving
taken
out
out.
in the blood bank.
So now,
So
yeah.
it does not actually affect anything. And for research, I did a research in transfusion, medicine, and I still screened again. So I was recruiting all my donors, and I screened them all over again. I had to screen again. I had to screen for infection. I had to screen for everything all over again. So even researches, the blood will go through more scrutiny than.
Of course.
Yeah, so
there is no negative
there's no
impact, per
negative
se.
impact.
But let's even look more into the analytical phase of blood grouping. So we are all conversant with the tile method. But I don't know, I feel a strong bias towards the tube method. Not because that's what we do in SYNLAB Nigeria, but I know that there are a lot of things we put in place to actually get that result. You know, the preparation of the suspension, and then you now set up your tubes and all that. So do you think there is a limitation with the towel method?
Yeah, there of course there are limitations with it. The first thing is the towel itself. If you actually have debris on the towel and then you didn't clean it properly,
Wow.
you
That's
probably
already a problem.
Yeah. So you,
Yes.
From the beginning.
I'm telling you,
Just-
from the pre-analytical.
so you may actually call a result that has no reaction agglutination.
That might
as
even...
that can cause the reaction.
So so those things are actually there. So then you have dust particles settle. You know, for example, it depends on the facility where you're working in very busy spaces where you probably need to do like 10, 15 blood groups at once. I mean, something I've done a lot of times. And then you just put your antiserum on the towel, like 8 antiserum.
Yes, so
and then you're putting your blood.
there's no line set. You just imagine
put it
them.
in, and
That's
then
a lot of freestyling.
A lot of what?
Freestyling.
and then you now do other things. You do other things. You mix everything down. You do other things. After mixing it down, you come back maybe minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later to check. And
Let's not forget the mixing and the cleaning
and the cleaning and all that. So it's one. God bless you. Now the whole process.
I am not there. This table I
The
have to
process
break.
of you put your antiserum on the towel, and then you take the patient's blood. You put a drop anti-aim. You mix with whatever you're mixing with, maybe the bottom of a test tube.
Oh my God.
Then you clean with cotton wool. Then you mix again. So you can even transfer antigens from one, portion to
Why isn't this done individually?
So
Has to calm down.
basically, there's a lot of things that could actually go wrong. with it.
Yeah.
Then again, you have to do a whole lot. You've mixed it down. You have to do some other things.
This is why we need to be doing all these tests periodically, because it should be a once and for all test. If they were testing it individually, it would be a once and for all test.
Because usually
That's why SYNLAB is
so
is
because
number one.
usually you actually work in space. Most of the spaces where we work in this part of the world, you actually have a whole lot to do. There's pressure on your neck. You have to provide blood for like 10 persons at the same time. So you have all that down, and then you
This is just in you describing it. I feel like I'm under pressure. Rest.
rest easy. So, so you put it there, and then you put it down to do other things. Dust could actually settle, and so many things could actually happen. So a whole lot could actually go wrong with the towel, system. Understand where you could have a whole lot of transfer of antigens.
But does the tube
debris
system
contaminating.
eliminate this?
Usually does.
So there is limited chances of transfer of antigens from one person to the other. You have to use your pipettes with one pipette tip per patient, of course, as standard. That one is so you said one patient can have like 7 tubes, and then if there is a negative, even after you've washed the red cell before dispensing, there are further things you do to confirm.
I like the way this one sounds.
The funniest thing about the tube system we also have is we create that red cell suspension and all that to also ensure that we, basically reading a result with the blood group system, the optical method that we use, or the manual method that we use rather, is your ability to be able to spot even the smallest antigen antibody reaction.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of it depends on your optical ability. So we prepare it in such a way that you
You're
ensure.
using big words, optical ability. How should the person use it? I know it's
lights.
eye. Oh, you see?
It's light, it's eye. All of them follow.
So basically, and then it's structured in such a way that you try as much as possible to have the equal amount of the antisera. Pardon me, there's no other way I can break it down. The equal amount of antisera you use, and then
The reagent that you're
antigen
using to do the
whatever.
taste.
And then the antigen on the red blood cell, the patient sample. So your method ensures that at least you have like equal amounts, of it, at any point in time. And then you have processes put in place that even when you see no reaction, there are things you also do, like what we do. You do forward grouping, reverse grouping, and then you use you use certain reagents that can actually help you to appreciate the agglutination more, because there's some people, they have weak reaction that ordinarily you will not actually see.
That's what she
So
was
you actually
saying,
need to put certain reagents that enhances your
Yeah.
optical ability to be able to see. And even after that, we end it with what? At SYNLAB microscopy.
Okay.
So all negatives that we're actually pushing out, they're actually true negatives. Because aside from the fact that we actually had those reagents, you know, that enhances our ability to be able to
AHG.
spot, you know, whether there's a reaction or
Just
not.
sit down.
We only do that for all the negatives. We now go again and check under the microscope. You know, to be able to be sure that there's actually no true reaction.
There is even sometimes they'll tell you incubate it.
Yeah,
Incubate it. Because some reactions happen at
Yes.
body temperature, 37
Yeah.
degrees.
So-
This helps me. I think I'm appreciating the work of
You need to
scientists
see
a
when
lot
it's
more.
you need to see
I
when
mean,
it's happening. Like
And then, you know, we test for weak D antigen too.
Yeah.
We do that.
We do.
Because especially for women, you know, we see that a lot. I don't know how to explain the weak D antigen. There are some people that they have that rhesus antigen, but the amount on their red cell is not that much. So you can easily miss it out when you do just your normal routine blood grouping. So we have reagents that actually help us to be able to actually detect red cells that have weak D antigen. So that by the time we're actually saying you are negative,
You're truly negative.
so
you take it anywhere.
Love it.
So that means to all my people at the back, if you know you did your own in the university, can't repeat it.
Don't drag
They
it.
should. No,
It's
no,
not
because
about you.
their heart was in the right place, but I'm not sure. You know when I went
I'm
to
not
school
sure
and now,
university. I'm sure there are universities.
I even did
that-
mine in my
I'm
primary
sure there are
school.
universities that are stepping up too. Because
Yeah,
everybody
we
wants to
agree,
improve
but
the
So like when
Go
I
and
went
do
to
again.
school, just to be sure, you can never go wrong. Eh? You can never go wrong
Yeah.
with it. But
best to
let me even ask. Let me ask Patsy now. Patsy, how many Nigerians do you think are walking around without actually knowing?
The
Or-
vast majority.
I've not landed.
Whatever the answer
Because I was
that was
going
a spinal answer.
whatever the
Final
question
answer.
is, the answer is the vast majority. The answer remains the same. I'm pretty sure it's the vast majority.
Why do you say so though?
Okay, you know, I think we're taking a lot of things for granted. Like we go over the fact that generally to the average Nigerian, your health may not be priority to you. Do you get? And so you might be surprised how many people, even up till now, still don't really know what their blood group is. Do you get? A lot
might
of us
have even done and it's not
a lot of
accurate.
people find out these things incidentally. When I mean incidentally, you don't go and check your blood group until you need to fill a form for school.
Yeah.
You know, so children know because when they were entering school, their parents feel that they had when you're entering university, you need to feel it that this is your blood group. So remove that school incidence, right? A lot of people would not know their blood group. If they've never had a medical emergency that requires them to go to the hospital and check, you've not had a child yet that makes you need, you've not walked down the road of marriage, then you've not known we have a lot of Nigerians who still are rather uneducated, like in terms of traditional education. They've not gone to school. They after secondary school, they didn't go anywhere. And if you didn't go to a fancy-ish secondary school that required this level of documentation, then that person very likely does not know their blood group, their genotype. You are even entering other these things. So I would speculate that a lot of Nigerians have no idea what is going on. Do you get? And people don't think about these things even when they are making major decisions in their life. I've gone through very recently public transportation. You know, when you're traveling, sometimes they'll make you fill those forms, your next of kin.
Yeah.
And I was in the bus there, and it was there that you should fill your blood group. Do you get? And the lady beside me was like, all this information they're asking for, why do they want to know my blood group? I said, sister, if we have accidents and they need to donate blood, that's why they're asking you. And she was like, oh, she never thought about that.
God bless them. The
Do you
transport system.
Yeah,
there
but
are some that
do you
that
get?
require
So I would think that a lot of people do not even have this information at hand. This now minus the people that have the have made the effort to get the information and probably have the wrong results that they are sitting on.
So that brings me, Dr. Way was fighting for the university people. Now let me ask you,
Yeah.
these universities and schools that out of their Mother Teresa hat, they are trying to conduct blood group and even genotype testing in schools, which is good because I think my first was actually done in the school. And I think I got a wrong genotype. But that's a discussion for another day. So do you think they should be allowed to conduct this without proper quality control? Because quality control these days, use of quality control
See
these
what you
days,
just finished talking.
it is not everybody that is complying. It is not everybody that is complying. So what do you think? Should they up their game or should they go a different route, like collaborating with labs, accredited labs that actually know what they are doing, or hospitals that actually know what they are doing? So that's my
I
question.
actually think ideally they just need to up their games because, I mean, what other better place would you get for all these things? The university teaching hospitals and the university health centers should actually have good equipment, should have the requisite accreditation. I mean, you have accreditation bodies that visit periodically to accredit these labs. So when you now have wrong results coming out of places where you should actually get right results, then there's a problem. So I think it's a systemic failure. It's not that. Ideally, the university should be able to actually, because these tests are very basic. So they are actually very, very basic tests. And you find out that, well, I would say it's just systemic failure. Some of the fact that they get periodic accreditations, there are fundings that are actually kept also, for them to be able to actually build structures. I mean, to be able to build systems that will actually enable them to actually provide, services to students and then to the public, to provide good services, to them. So as far as I'm concerned, universities and university teaching hospitals and university health centers should actually step up their games. They shouldn't it's an ideal thing for them to be able to actually run genotypes. They are very basic tests, genotypes, blood groups, very, very basic, very, very basic. We are not talking about some highfalutin genetic testing. We are not actually talking about some of those high-end tests. These are very, very basic tests. So for me, I stand on the fact that they should up their games. They should up their games because, again, I feel that I'm just trying to say what is ideal, what should happen. Because, I mean, aside from the fact that you have these universities being centers of learning, they are also like centers of excellence.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and then they should live up to it.
Okay, so
Yes.
I thank you for that, but I had a different scenario in my head, but this is actually quite insightful. I was referring to schools that, people that come to do CSR in schools.
Okay.
I don't even know if those schools they are coming to do the CSR at. No. Do you understand? Who are they? Are they from credible labs?
Okay.
So I'm not, but your point is solid, but I wasn't referring to the university health centers, but I think they should also up their game. I'm with you. But people who now come and say, okay, so during assembly, we have some medical people who want to collect your blood samples and do free blood group tests for you. How do we ensure that those people are aligned quality-wise?
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was asking, is it a case of the university authorities or the primary school authorities partnering with credible labs, or do they just open their doors to any Tom, Dick and Harry to come and...
No, I don't actually think those public institutions should open their doors to every Tom, Dick and Harry. They should partner with credible labs because they're actually dealing with life, in this particular situation.
Yes.
Because the implication of giving someone a wrong genotype, it creates a ripple effect that can actually destroy a whole lot of things down the line. The same thing with the blood group, because these are things that I would always say, thanks to what Patsy said earlier on, these are things that you should know and be doubly sure about. So, because these are things that are part of your identity, who you are, and never changes. So it's very, very bad if someone out of their out of their own willingness or curiosity to know their identity in this regard, and
you give
set
them
out
a wrong
early
one.
to say, okay, fine, I want my child to know what his genotype or whatever is, and then you're actually giving that person a very wrong genotype. And because you are supposed to be a public institution who knows the right thing to do, it is assumed that the body that has actually come to do CSR in your institution actually knows what they are doing. So again, it underlines the fact that any public institution that is actually going to be collaborating with, either an NGO or any laboratory, for such services, they should ensure that they are credible organizations and credible laboratories, because these things are things that has to do with life. So we shouldn't just, and for me, I don't know what would be Patsy's view on it. I think going forward, there should be some form of regulation, things that will actually make people be a little bit more responsible in this regard. You understand? Where if you actually give, certain wrong results, I don't know if it's, that
they will catch you and flog you. I agree with you. No, yes, now. No, because generally, human beings respond to punitive measures almost better than any other thing. Do you get so until they are punishing people?
Let me even wait. So let me just circle back a bit. So when he was talking about identity, my mind went back to the transport company you talked about. Imagine, God forbid, something happened to that lady or something, and somebody has been carrying A positive and
they just go and put blood for you.
Yes. And because,
It's
I know
dangerous
some
now.
Yes. So that's actually a serious complication. So that's what I want to ask now, being the lawyer in our midst. So if a lab makes an
if
error,
someone is actually A positive and give them A negative blood, they're gonna be fine.
yeah, I know that one. Just keep the
We are
science.
talking about the one where
Yeah,
you might not
yes,
be fine.
I understand what him. That one is pure science.
Yes.
We will talk. That one is another episode from who can donate what and who can receive what. I understand. Yeah, negative and positive. Yeah. So, but the reverse, no, can't go. So, but you get my point, though. If somebody is giving a wrong one that is not compatible,
and
So,
incompatible blood.
yeah. So now I'm asking, if a lab makes an error in blood group testing, legally, what do you think should they be held accountable for? Being responsible for potential harm.
I think so. I'm saying this with a lot of heaviness because
Let the heaviness not be like life imprisonment.
when I mean heaviness, I'm saying that
Or death by anger.
wait, now you will allow me. When I mean
Apologies.
I'm saying it with heaviness, I mean that I'm saying it with a level of very intense seriousness because
Grave seriousness.
it's very grave in the way I'm thinking about it. I don't, it will be, you don't want to get to the point whereby every small thing, because at the end of the day, the people in these labs are still just people, right? And where there's humanity, there would be room for error,
Errors.
right? So we have to give them space, that marginal room for error. But at the same time, this is health, this is life. This is something that can have ripple effects down the line. You make a mistake with one person, it affects multiple lives, right? So it has to be taken very seriously. So I would say that, yes, I'm sure that, in fact, there is regulation around this. It's the problem with Nigeria many times is not whether or not there is law. We have laws for almost everything. And we don't just have laws, we have good laws, very, very good laws. The problem we suffer as a country is the implementation of these laws, right? So I do believe that, yes, they should be held accountable. Even if maybe at best they will give you 3 strikes and you're out. You understand? You made the first mistake, warning. Second mistake, warning. Second mistake, everybody just pack your load and be going home. Do you understand? And honestly, and I think that level of seriousness needs to be, do you get, taking the reason why at SYNLAB, for instance, we hold that very high level of excellence that we strive for. It's part of it is not just because we feel like doing it. We've made ourselves subject to regulations, quality assurance, laws. We are accredited by multiple bodies. It's not just one, right? If let's remove all this accreditation. We are not doing SANAS. We are not doing, and anything we're doing, we're not just doing. Just watch how, give it 1 month and would not just watch how everybody would just relax. What are you doing EQA and IQA for again?
You're doing QR.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Everybody will just relax. Do you get? So the reason why we are, should I say, we ourselves, have made it, we've taken that sense of responsibility to, make ourselves subject to all of this kind of rigorous scrutiny, so that we can know that we are excellent. But also, on the other hand, the government should be the ones to a certain extent, take that initial step of responsibility towards their citizens, whereby we are not waiting for the lab to decide they want to be responsible and excellent and best in the world. We are actually going to go for them first. Do you get? So I think that's where the problem is.
Okay.
And the point that you raised for me was very, very excellent, because, a lot of times when we see a good deed, you don't stop to think about where is this good coming from. If somebody came to tell me, Patsy, I have $100 million for you now, the first thought in my head is not, where did you make that money? Where will you put it? Do you understand? Do you get what I'm saying? Where will you put it? No,
That's what's up.
do you understand?
How
Will I get it? So
and then you start thinking about it.
I'll do with it. In fact, before I even where will
How
I
did
get
you
I've
get
already
it?
spent the money.
How did you get
No,
it?
but my point is, so I really love the fact that you asked that, because I can't imagine having an organization or a school. If you don't have somebody whose job is to think about that, if somebody should come and tell you, we're bringing free testing, most likely you'll be like, I'm open, thank you, just bring it. I don't know that a lot of them will stop to ask, are you doing the right thing?
Very
Which
important.
hospital? Once you tell
Very
them
important.
we're a hospital or we're a clinic, we want to come and do free blood testing. To be honest, I don't know that a lot of people. That's why, and I will know this because as somebody legal, a lot of times I've seen it in many rooms where people forget to troubleshoot, and until I bring it up, and it's just normal. When you see a good thing, you're not going to ask where they come from first. But we need to actually start asking those questions.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you so much. I was going to ask you your last.
Okay, I was going to. I will definitely say not my last words, but my
Go
last
for
words.
it. No. Like your advice to our guests and
It's just
our
to actually
listeners.
buttress what she said. I could remember there was a time in the north, because I grew up in the north central, part of the country, where they were giving some compromised meningitis vaccination.
Wow.
To pupils in primary schools and all. And I think
Wow.
things
Me,
like
anywhere that there's vaccination, I do used to go and put hand.
Wow.
I will
So
even ask.
It's
Wow.
just it's just
God.
but just what she said, that
Oh, that
there
bitch.
should actually be some systems that put in place to actually ensure
wait.
what is getting to students, what is actually
Yeah.
getting to pupils are actually what they should
And
get.
this body
Just
is
to
first of all on the
buttress-
government.
Yeah, should buttress
honestly.
that. Well, I think then they said it was about I think the cold chain broke or something like that, and then not until some students started having some bad reactions.
Hey.
So it's very, very
No
important.
casualty.
Well, I can't say.
Oh,
I
God.
don't quite remember, but I remember that it was something that people kept talking about then. Now, my final words on this show. Not my
Yes,
final words in life.
please. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your genotype is actually your identity. So I want to underline that. So I personally don't like the fact that most Nigerians do not understand the fact that your body, what is in your body is your identity. Your
carrying
genotype is your identity.
Yeah,
your blood group is your identity. You should know and be doubly sure that you know what you have.
Go and check again.
So those are my final words.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Way, and thank you, Patsy. Today's episode is a reminder that medical information is powerful, especially when it's accurate. A wrong test result may look wrong or harmless on paper, but might not be wrong in reality or harmless in reality. It might actually cause a serious issue. So please, if you must verify your blood group, verify it again. If you must verify your genotype, verify it again. I like how Dr. Weye put it. It is your identity. It will not take anything from you to be doubly sure. So my sincere thanks to our guest who took our time to tell his story on the blood group saga. And also thank you to my co-host, Ms. Fassi, our lawyer, and Dr. Weye, our guru, medical guru. Thank you for helping us break this thing down to our listeners. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow SYNLAB Nigeria on YouTube and on Spotify. You can also follow SYNLAB Nigeria across all social media platforms. My name is Uche Namadi. This is HealthWise Show, and I'm signing off.